about astronomy, nuclear physics, computer technology, printed circuit boards. These are all microscopically and or in other frequencies that are outside of our realm of existence, and yet they certainly have impact to us. So let's come full circle around to something that you said was, well, it's a new moon in Virgo today. And, I think that it is technically past, but we can catch a wave. I use the surfer imagery, which I like just in talking about waves. And I miss right now bobbing in an ocean and being on waves or under a wave, as the case may be at times. But, if there is an optimum moment to catch a wave, if there's a good wave and it's really nicely formed, really all you need to do is to be in the right place at the right time, aimed in the right direction, and just give yourself a little nudge. Because if you're not moving at all, the wave will pass under you and you won't be able to ride it. But if you just give yourself enough of a nudge forward, that catches it, and then boom, you're off. But if you're late and you don't catch that, you can paddle like mad and catch it anyhow. And in fact, even if you start a little bit early, if you know what you're doing, you can get up enough momentum and ride the wave lower to the bottom than higher to the crest. Astrology cycles are the same way. We become too anal. That word seems to be floating around, I guess, with a Virgo new moon. That should be a word, because for those of you who don't know, in the Freudian technology, there were different types of stages where we lock, that he called the psychosexual stages of development. And the anal stage, which was basically around early around early toilet training, was the learning to hold the anal sphincter so that we didn't poop everywhere. It's a very simple concept, but that type of personality goes through life holding things in. Whereas the oral, which is an earlier stage, which is about the suckling at the breast, is basically yes, anytime, any place kind of a thing. And just in a broad swath, we know people who are on either ends of that spectrum. And so Virgo as a sign is a narrowing sign. Virgo is it's like a laser beam that is at a precise frequency, which is why the textbooks say that Virgos can be cool and aloof. They're not cool and aloof. It's just their laser beam is not aimed at you. Get over it. Virgos are hot. They're sizzling, but they're so hot and sizzling that their attention is narrowed, and they're very careful to only aim that beam where it is intended to be aimed. And I'd say we just got off track, but this is a Virgo new moon, and that's the lesson behind this particular, or one of the lessons behind this particular new moon. And it's perfect that we're having this discussion around this new moon, because this new moon is in Virgo at 25 degrees of Virgo, and it is very closely trine Saturn, which I used as an illustration earlier, because Saturn is at 25 degrees of Capricorn. 25 degrees of Virgo, 25 degrees of Capricorn. That's within 1 degree, or being in the same degree as 120 degrees, which is 1/3 of a circle apart. That's a trine that is nailed. It's not exact, but the astrology word for when you have an aspect with two planets that are in the same degree, even if they're in different signs, the word is partile, Partile. So the way an astrologer could describe this particular new moon is that this is a Virgo new moon, partile trine Saturn in Capricorn. That would be the exact right language to use for it. Now, Virgo is very attentive to detail, because that narrowing beam of the laser, you see, Virgo has something in common with Gemini. What they have in common is Mercury. Because Mercury in the traditional astrology, or actually in modern astrology too, Mercury rules or is associated with two signs. As a morning star, it's associated with Gemini. As an evening star, it's associated with Virgo. And Mercury has, like many of the planets do, it has two very different ways of expressing. Mercury is about mental functioning. It's about thinking. In Gemini, Mercury will connect anything with anything. It's connect the dots. I've probably said here before, I say it whenever I get a chance, that Mercury in the Gemini phase of its being is like an information slut. It has no discrimination at all. And I'm not making a judgment here. I have a Gemini rising. It's like, if there's data out there, I want it. And in fact, whether it's useful, whether it's valid, whether it's true, doesn't even matter. I just want the information because I want to be able to put it into a framework and connect it to other things. Very different than Virgo. Virgo is the critical laser beam that says, there's information out there. I want to know whether it's valid, useful, or truthful. If it's not, I'm not interested. That's the primary difference between Mercury in those two signs. And it's interesting that Gemini is an air sign. It's intellectual, it's thinking, it's mental. Virgo is an earth sign. It's practical. And in a way, Virgo is the least earthy of the three earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, because Virgo is analytical, it is mental, it is cerebral, but it's only mental and cerebral to figure out what's useful and practical. And here, this new moon is so damn powerful because it's trining Saturn in its own sign in Capricorn, which is the planet of stability, structure, karma. You get what you deserve. Virgo is about the habits that we develop to be effective and efficient. Saturn is you get what you deserve. So the lesson behind this new moon, or the primary lesson, is that this is a time to plant the seeds of practicality, but they have to be narrowcast, not broadcast. Because broadcasting is Gemini. That's just get it out there. With Virgo, you want to fine tune it as much as possible. Now, having said all that,